The reception hall shimmered with soft golden lights, the kind that made champagne glasses sparkle and turned silk gowns into flowing rivers under the chandeliers. A live band played in the background, their music floating warmly over the clinking of silverware and the laughter of families reuniting. Everyone seemed to belong, everyone except Anna. She sat at the far corner of the grand ballroom, her chair tucked against the edge of the round table that had long since filled with other guests who already knew each other. Her dress was simple compared to the sequined gowns around her, navy blue with a modest neckline. She wasn't unattractive, in fact, she carried herself with a quiet grace. But there was a fragility in her expression, as though she were waiting for someone to notice her, and no one ever did. Anna had been invited because she was a distant cousin of the bride. Distant enough that no one knew her well, but not so distant that she could decline without guilt. When the invitation arrived, she imagined a warm evening of conversation and maybe a dance or two. She imagined being part of something bigger. Instead, she found herself alone, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass as laughter bloomed around her like a garden she couldn't enter. Her parents had passed away years ago, and she had no siblings to lean on. Friends. Most were busy with their own lives. She had come alone because she had no one to come with. Weddings had a way of magnifying loneliness, and tonight, it pressed on her chest like a weight she couldn't shake off. She tried to smile politely whenever someone glanced her way, but their smiles quickly slid past her, landing on someone more familiar, more interesting. Anna felt invisible. She wanted to leave, but leaving meant admitting defeat, and she couldn't bear to walk past all those eyes that didn't see her anyway. It was during the couple's first dance, when every eye turned toward the glowing bride and groom, that she felt a shadow move beside her. A tall man in a dark suit stopped at her table, his movements smooth, purposeful. She looked up, startled, and saw him lean close enough that she caught the faint scent of cedar and something warmer, like amber. "Pretend you're with me," he whispered. Anna blinked. "What?" she asked, her voice barely audible over the music. The man straightened, giving her a smile that was both easy and secretive. He slipped into the empty chair beside her as though it had been waiting for him all along. "You looked like you needed rescuing. I figured I'd volunteer." Her pulse skipped. She should have protested, asked who he was, why he was here, what he wanted. Instead, something in his eyes, steady, calm, yet mischievous, told her she was safe. Or at least safer than she felt sitting alone. "I don't even know your name," she said. "Ethan," he replied, offering his hand. She shook it, her fingers small in his, warmth rushing through her arm. "And you?" "Anna." "Nice to meet you, Anna," he said. "For tonight, let's pretend we came together. Trust me, it'll make things easier." She didn't understand why he cared, but she nodded. And just like that, everything shifted. Ethan began talking as though they were old friends. He leaned in to ask her how she knew the bride and listened when she explained about her distant cousin. He told her he worked with the groom's brother, but from the way he phrased it, Anna suspected he had come alone too. He had that same aura of being slightly apart, except he carried it differently, unapologetically, as though it didn't matter if he fit in or not. When people passed by their table, Ethan would glance up and nod as though Anna were his date. To her surprise, they accepted it without question. No more pitiful glances in her direction, no more curious stares at why she was alone. It was as though Ethan had shielded her with a simple illusion, one both of them agreed to uphold. The band's music changed, the singer announcing the next dance. Ethan looked at her. "Shall we?" Anna's heart lurched. "Oh, I'm not really." But he was already standing, holding out his hand. Something about his quiet confidence disarmed her protests. She placed her hand in his, and he led her onto the dance floor. Her nerves screamed as they joined the swirling couples, but Ethan's hand at her back steadied her. He guided her gently, never rushing, never pushing her beyond what she could handle. "Just follow me," he murmured. And she did. For the first time that night, she didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. They danced until the song ended, then another, then another. With every turn, every shared laugh, the weight pressing on Anna's chest eased. She began to notice the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, the warmth in his voice when he asked her about her life, and how he never once made her feel like she wasn't enough. Hours slipped by. At some point, they stepped outside onto the terrace, the night air cool and refreshing. Lanterns glowed along the railing, casting soft light over their faces. Anna leaned against the stone balustrade, catching her breath, while Ethan stood beside her, hands in his pockets. You know, he said, glancing at her, you looked so lost when I first saw you. I couldn't just walk by. Anna lowered her eyes, embarrassed. I guess I was. There's nothing wrong with that, Ethan said gently. Sometimes life puts us in rooms where we feel like outsiders. But it doesn't mean we don't belong. His words settled in her chest like an anchor. No one had ever said that to her before. The night wore on. Eventually, the bride tossed her bouquet, and laughter echoed across the hall. Anna caught herself smiling, not because she cared about the bouquet, but because Ethan was beside her, making her feel like she belonged. By the end of the evening, as guests began saying their goodbyes, Anna felt a pang of fear. This had all been temporary, hadn't it? Just a pretend story for one night. What if it ended here, as suddenly as it had begun? When Ethan walked her to her car, she tried to brace herself for goodbye. But he surprised her again. Anna, he said softly, I know tonight was supposed to be pretend. But I don't want it to end that way. Her breath caught. He smiled, a little nervous for the first time all evening. Would you like to see me again? For real this time? Anna felt warmth bloom through her chest, brighter than the lanterns, brighter than the hall lights. She nodded, unable to keep the smile from her face. I'd like that.